Good evening. Welcome to the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. You know, I was watching something earlier today on the blazetv.com or the Glenn Beck show, and they were showing a little clip from Joe Biden and a speech he was making recently, kind of a press conference deal, whatever. And he began to, at some point, start to ask, did anybody want to ask any questions or anything else like that? And this was supposedly coming from the White House press. So immediately, once he started doing that and he asked for questions, they went away from the camera. They blocked it out. They cut it. They cut it right when he started to ask if anybody needs to ask any questions. Is this what I'm supposed to do? I'm like, is this what you're supposed to do? Yes, you should have been did it a long time ago. So it was really funny there. I thank Glenn Beck for that, or the Blaze TV. Some cameramen, please, or cameraman or somebody attending these press conferences, please find a way to record these moments that they try to keep the media from seeing or the public from seeing with President Biden, who will not answer any media questions. And he always sends Psaki up there who doesn't know. She just needs to circle back. We see that a nurse is always present there, constantly near Joe Biden each time he appears to speak. Sometimes she's hidden away, and some's way off to the right so you can't see her, but there is a nurse that's constantly there. Why is that? What are they hiding? Inquiring minds want to know. Anyway, just a bit of information. I noticed during November election, and again today, I was shocked at a piece of information and was curious. When I was watching the election, I don't know if some of you experienced this or not. I was watching the election, how they were bringing up the totals, the electoral college totals, and all those things like that. And I remember seeing it, and I was watching the screen, people, just like I'm watching the camera right now. I was watching the screen. I did not take my eyes away. And I watched the lead. The president, Donald J. Trump, had already won the election. The score on the screen, it only takes 270 to win the election. Am I not correct? 270 votes. I saw President Trump's name on TV, live TV, nationwide, with 279 electoral votes. Then about a few seconds later, I saw the votes flip and switch. Then they brought it back and it flipped to Joe Biden. And amazingly enough, President Trump's votes went down to 232. You will see what I'm talking about here in a moment. It may already be up on the screen because I can't see behind me. But anyway, in the 2016 election, as some of you may remember, the total of votes, electoral college votes, was 306 for President Donald J. Trump and 232 for Hillary Clinton, who never conceded and said that the election was never won and that he was not a legitimate president, even though he was duly elected, actually before all these fraudulent things or irregularities started to happen in our election processes. Strange. It took 4 years for this to happen after they attacked him for 4 years, trying to impeach him, coming up after he was already out of office, trying to impeach him again. So we see in that next thing that Trump's votes or Biden's votes are 306 and President Trump was 232. Who could say vengeance? Who could say Dominion investor, who Hillary Clinton was? Enough said. I'm calling Hillary Clinton's this thing. It was a fix. The fix was in, believe it or not, and it was a thing of revenge. That's what it was really all about. And that is my opening statement. This is David Colbert here on the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert. We'll be right back with you in a moment.
Welcome to Our Freedom Media Group, where freedom is real Experience all our platforms for yourself now at www.ourfreedommg.com. Tired of restrictive social media platforms? Join Our Freedom Book. Tired of selective video upload and crowdfunding sites? Join Our Freedom Tube or Our Freedom Funding. With features that include live streaming, video calling and messaging, plus a 24/7 friend finder with map geolocation, American-owned and made in the USA. We're a place where your freedom of speech will be honored. Exercise your right on a secure social media platform without bias, censors, or bans, where your ideas can compete on a level field. If you're looking for a site that doesn't fact-check you and send you to fake jail, a site that cancels cancel culture, then Our Freedom Media Group is the freedom you've been waiting for. Sign up today at ourfreedommg.com. Welcome to Our Freedom Media Group, where freedom is real. Experience all our platforms for yourself now at www.ourfreedommg.com. Tired of restrictive social media platforms? Join Our Freedom Book. Tired of selective video upload and crowdfunding sites? Join Our Freedom Tube or Our Freedom Funding. With features that include live streaming, video calling and messaging, plus a 24/7 friend finder with map geolocation, American-owned and made in the USA. We're a place where your freedom of speech will be honored. Exercise your right on a secure social media platform without bias, censors, or bans, where your ideas can compete on a level field. If you're looking for a site that doesn't fact-check you and send you to fake jail, a site that cancels cancel culture, then Our Freedom Media Group is the freedom you've been waiting for. Sign up today at ourfreedommg.com, where freedom is real.
Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Now, before I move on, yesterday we were discussing the H.R. 1, which is a Voting Rights Act or whatever, voting election reform, as they are calling it, for the people or whatever. Give me a break. Then the H.R. 1 and then H.R. 5 we were talking about. And we told you in those things that they were trying to violate our First Amendment rights, our religious freedoms, and trying to tell us to shut up and don't say nothing, as they do quite a few times in Congress when the Republican Party tries to reiterate or answer any questions, or actually anybody else who visits there on some issue that they want to avoid having questions answered to, so that you will not be able to hear the truth. Well, our First Amendment, I'm going to read you the First Amendment. I have my Constitution right here. I received this from my university before I graduated. They gave me a set of constitutional rights and freedoms that we had. The First Amendment says this. I want you to listen to this. Congress. Now, who are we talking about? Congress. Who is coming up with all these unconstitutional laws? Congress. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. One problem they're doing. Or abridging the freedom of speech or the press or the right of the people peacefully to assemble and to petition the government for redress or grievances. In other words, we have a right to petition Congress or anybody else for grievances. If you got something against Congress, we should be able to walk up into the congressional session and offer our grievances against what they're proposing. I haven't seen this yet. I think I may have seen it many years ago, but I haven't seen this in recent days. We need some citizens going in with a regress and a grievance to Congress for the things that they are doing, violating our First Amendment rights. Maybe this is why the Supreme Court won't do anything, because we need to act first with our regress and our redress of grievances. Amendment 2. Let's see this one. And as well, the Second Amendment A well-regulated militia being necessary to security of a free state, the right of people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Shall not be infringed. Listen to this too. Now, I didn't even read this before, but I'm going to read this. Amendment 3. No soldier shall in time of peace be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in a time of war, but in the manner to be prescribed. The only reason I read that is because they're talking about keeping people locked up, I guess, in their houses and things like that. Or hopefully we don't see that, but they're moving toward that right now. We're going to be talking about that here in a moment. But I just want you to remind you of your First Amendment and your Second Amendment rights. They really have no way or no reason and are not supposed to be able to write any laws in respect to religion or your free practice of religion. Yet they did it. They tried to keep us locked in. You can only have so many people. No, I don't care, pandemic, whatever it is. Congress can make no ruling, nothing on, they can't create a religion. That's what it was saying. And they cannot restrict religious activity or church activity from occurring because they feel like they should, regardless of what they're saying in this pandemic. They can give people the opportunity to choose to do it, but really, if it's brought up before the courts have to honor the Constitution. And I'm just talking about the main courts, the federal courts. Moving on. America. The question is now, and it's being asked by Democrats and Republicans, National Guard's presence on Capitol Hill sparks bipartisan calls for answers. Michael Waltz, a Republican from Florida, among several members of Congress from both sides of the aisle, are demanding answers why there's increased security at the Capitol. Okay, you know what I say? I say this is the response of keeping guard because they are after our constitutional rights. And they perceive they will need protection from the people, the governed. They perceive that you got a redress of grievances, and if they don't let you in to tell your grievances, you may storm your way in to tell your redress of grievances, which we should allow to be peacefully allowed to go in and redress our grievances with anything that's going on in the Congress at that moment, not sometime in the future or whatever, but as these things are being decided on in the House of Representatives. The constituents have the right to go in and speak to the Congress. This is a fact, and this is a law on our books. The stay was said to be temporary when the whole thing with National Guard troops and other reinforcements after January 6th seemed to be more permanent. Washington, D.C. has been under military occupation. Think about this. Under military occupation the entire time that Joe Biden has been in office. This is something that was noticed, and of course it's noticed by all of us, but it was brought out by OAN Jack Posobiec. But One American News brought that out, but this is the truth, and it is a fact, that the White House, the Capitol, has been under siege, pretty much, you might well say, from the National Guard. Now, the question was asked in a review of this January 6th thing, they need to let this crap go. This is a waste of taxpayer money, all this review, let's go over this, let's go over something, a little thing that happened there at the Capitol. This is not the first time the Capitol has been breached, people. It's been breached in the past. So while we go through all this stuff, this society and the society we live here in this country, they love repeating crap over and over again. I don't know about you, but when you watch a news program, you go to this station, go to that station. I prefer conservative news. At least they're talking about
our
something
Freedom
different.
Media.
Goodness, every time you go to one thing, they're talking about this, talking about the same thing over and over again. President Trump did this. President Trump did that. President Trump did this. President Trump did that. They did it constantly during the Trump administration. Biden administration still refuses to give credit to Donald J. Trump's administration for Operation Warp Speed. There's no question at all. Data points to the fact that there were not enough of any of those things when he took office. This is what Psaki's claiming. There wasn't enough vaccines. And he says, she said, we are open-eyed to the challenge we continue to live under. Give me a freaking break. The vaccine's already there. It was already proven, and when President Trump left office, listen to this. Psaki made these claims despite reports that found Biden's office lost 20 million doses of the vaccines out of the 50 million doses sent out under President Trump. Lost 20 million vaccines? I don't think they lost anything. I say they wound it up in some other country, not ours, who was actually put together for. The vaccinations were, I don't want to know way, but they were put together for this nation, not for these other countries, yet 20 million doses. How does out of 50 million, you got 20 million doses? That's almost a third of the doses. I think it is a third, a little more than a third of the vaccine that disappeared. But this is what's happened with Democrat rulership or government. Even though vaccine was developed, Trump operated warp speed. They're still denying and claiming that they developed stuff. They haven't developed anything, people. President Trump administration is the administration that brought about Operation Warp Speed, and they're still running their mouths and talking crap about what he's done. We're going to take a short break, and I'll be right back with you here in a moment on the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert.
Welcome to Our Freedom Media Group, where freedom is real. Experience all our platforms for yourself now at www.ourfreedommg.com. Tired of restrictive social media platforms? Join Our Freedom Book. Tired of selective video upload and crowdfunding sites? Join Our Freedom Tube or Our Freedom Funding. With features that include live streaming, video calling and messaging, plus a 24/7 friend finder with map geolocation, American-owned and made in the USA. We're a place where your freedom of speech will be honored. Exercise your right on a secure social media platform without bias, censors, or bans, where your ideas can compete on a level field. If you're looking for a site that doesn't fact-check you and send you to fake jail, a site that cancels cancel culture, then Our Freedom Media Group is the freedom you've been waiting for. Sign up today at ourfreedommg.com, where freedom is real.
Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice of David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Well, I want to bring out something else here. This is something I want to bring out because, this is always the way it happens in the mainstream media. They are so happy to have Trump come out and start to speak. And he's starting to speak now, so they love it because it gives them something to complain about. Give them something to put their little news programs. I know he had to eventually come out, and he knew that they wanted him to come out. They were so desperate to have something to report on because Biden is not saying anything. He's not saying a darn thing to the press. So they needed somebody to come out and start to stir up stuff. So they're so happy. They won't tell you that, but they're so happy that Donald J. Trump is back out into the spotlight once again. So happy that they're lying again, saying that they're having doctors come out and say all kinds of crazy stuff. Well, this vaccine came about too fast. It probably is not as effective as they're saying. And most of the time, we want to find out that some people are going to be dying from the vaccine and all kinds of things like this. And undoubtedly, they will bring up false reports as much as they can find to come up to support that viewpoint. Because they want to say, well, the Biden administration came up with one that actually worked. Watch and see what I tell you. They're going to be having deaths pop up where you think it pretty much is going to be false information. But they're going to have it coming up like, well, that vaccine that they had by Pfizer killed somebody or something like that. Or they got sick or they had a problem with their immune system. They started out right after the vaccine came out when President Trump was seen, when the electoral vote passed, they started out then talking about trying to discredit the vaccines that the Operation Warp Speed had developed. This is what we're dealing with, people. They will lie or do anything to discredit Donald Trump. And it's the craziest stuff I've ever seen. President Trump slams the Wall Street Journal. Wall Street Journal put out an article, an editorial, with the editorial board, stating that Republicans should distance themselves or abandon Donald Trump. In a statement Thursday at CPAC, last Thursday at CPAC, he said the New York City-based newspaper has lost its credibility. And I agree with him over the years, and that nobody cares about it, or what they print. President Trump also said Wall Street Journal is not concerned with reporting the truth. He accused the paper of supporting globalist policies such as bad trade deals, open borders, and endless wars. He asserted that the journals fight for rhinos. And in case you don't know what rhinos mean, I kept hearing it too. And I'm like, what does rhinos mean? Show you how smart I am. Anyway, it means Republicans in name only. Republicans in name only. R-I-N-O. Some of you out there like me didn't know what it meant. But this is what they're talking about when they say rhinos. They have hindered the Republican Party over the years. And that's desperately something that we do not need. We don't need a hindrance. Biden attacks, once again, the Second Amendment policies with his radical agenda, unheard for over 5 or 6 decades in this country, going back to the 60s. The former president of the NRA, Dave King, said he's sounding an alarm about the very radical actions of the Biden administration is taken against our Second Amendment rights. In an exclusive with John Hines from OAN, he was talking about all these crazy policies. He wants to take your guns. He's outlawing anything that has more than a clip of one clip of bullets or whatever. I don't know, automatic weapons, assault weapons as he calls them. But really, it only takes one bullet to kill somebody. So assault weapons, they like to shoot them or whatever. That's okay. We have our Second Amendment rights. We should be allowed to keep and bear arms. And of course, you see that a lot where people are being brought up and say, well, why you had this? And I'm telling you, you may not know about it, but a lot of our laws under this amendment have been violated constantly. And some of you out there who have and bear and keep weapons understand this. If they catch a certain amount of weapons in your house, well, you have the right to have them and own them. Sometimes they will confiscate your weapons because they'll make statements, well, we think you might be leaning toward criminal activity. Why do you have so many weapons? Well, the answer is they have the right to have the weapons. Like it or not, it says keep or bear arms. I mean, I'm not crazy about weapons, but we have the right under our Constitution's Second Amendment to keep and bear arms. Well, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with you here in a moment on the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert.
Welcome to Our Freedom Media Group, where freedom is real. Experience all our platforms for yourself now at www.ourfreedommg.com. Tired of restrictive social media platforms? Join Our Freedom Book. Tired of selective video upload and crowdfunding sites? Join Our Freedom Tube or Our Freedom Funding. With features that include live streaming, video calling and messaging, plus a 24/7 friend finder with map geolocation, American-owned and made in the USA. We're a place where your freedom of speech will be honored. Exercise your right on a secure social media platform without bias, censors, or bans, where your ideas can compete on a level field. If you're looking for a site that doesn't fact-check you and send you to fake jail, a site that cancels cancel culture, then Our Freedom Media Group is the freedom you've been waiting for. Sign up today at ourfreedommg.com, where freedom is real.
Welcome back. You're watching Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert. You're on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Okay, I want to read something here. This is the Sixth Amendment. I just want to read this. I'm looking through my Constitution, finding rulings and amendments that I can maybe read and kind of give you a kind of an open eye on what's going on in the Constitution. So as they come up with these new little things trying to violate our constitutional rights, you'll have more of a clear understanding of what they're after. The powers let's read the Fifth and Sixth Amendment. The powers not delegated, this is the Fifth Amendment, not delegated to the United States by a constitution nor prohibited by it to the states are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited by it to the states. In other words, it's saying there's no power delegated to the United States or the federal government, nor prohibited in the states that are prohibited in the states and are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. This is kind of like what we're talking about in regard to the COVID restrictions. The state has a right to make certain restrictions themselves or to open up states or whatever according to that amendment, and or to close down if necessary. But, I mean, some states, if you're not happy with it and you put the people in office, you can sign petitions to get them removed from office. And the Sixth Amendment says this: the judicial power of the United States shall not be construed to extend to any suit in law or equity commenced or prosecuted against one of the United States by citizens of another state or by citizens or subjects of a foreign state. Let me read that again. Maybe you understand that better than me. I'm trying to read these. The judicial power of the United States shall not be construed to extend to any suit in a law or equity. So it means it doesn't extend. The federal powers do not extend to those things, I guess, outside of that has begun outside of the United States by its citizens or another state. In other words, they make suit or whatever, and it's not against the federal government, then they really have no right to interfere. Pretty much that's what I'm reading there. If I'm wrong, please let me know. Or by the subjects of any foreign state. So that's kind of what it says. I'm trying to understand some things, so I'm kind of looking to you for help me to understand some of these things. And as we have saw, and since we've been talking about the election and everything else, let me look at this real quick. I'm just trying to get us some knowledge here. Okay, now I guess I better not look at that one. That one's too long. I don't want to go into that. But anyway, let's move on. Biden is lying to us once again, saying the Americans strongly support the COVID relief bill. Polls prove that he is wrong. The Americans do not overall support the COVID relief bill. When I say that, the reason I believe is not supported by the majority of Americans because, as I told you before, it was already reviewed, and only 9% of the funding of that $1.9 trillion is going to anything involved with COVID-19 and its effect on our society here in this country. A lot of money is going overseas. A lot of money is going to museums and other garbage that the Democrats put in their things. They've been doing this for years. So they put these extra port things in. Yeah, we always get upset about it. We always complain about it. But the problem is that the Republicans that we have serving us in the Congress and the Senate, they've forgotten something. One thing, the Democrats have control over the Senate. They've agreed to this, reconciliation thing or whatever, but they actually do have the power to pass the bill because of their leadership any way they choose. They have the power to pass it. this bill that we're talking about, this COVID-19 bill. They could pass the bill. But this I appreciate in the Senate that they're at least allowing debates. They pretty much don't have to. Schumer said that he would force it if they kept going on, and I don't even know, maybe it's been done already. But I approve of the bill only for the parts that help Americans who are still suffering from the lockdowns and destruction of our businesses during last summer riots. It does make me upset how the Democrats easily avoided condemning the riots last summer, yet spending all this money and all this time researching January 6th. When it's already been proven, they can say whatever they want. This has actually been proven as fact. Ray got before Congress a couple of days ago and told a big fat Senate, I guess it was, told a big fat lie saying that Antifa and them weren't involved. But even the FBI and the DOJ said that Antifa and BLM were part of the group that went into the Capitol, that breached the Capitol. It was not Trump supporters. It was people dressed in Trump gear, but it was not Trump supporters, even though they would like you to believe that, because they want us deplorables considered domestic terrorists. And actually, fact, anybody with any faith or religion or anything else, they wanted you considered domestic terrorists. The riots last summer were ignored, but of course, Kamala Harris was asking for support to bail out those who were destroying your businesses and your cities back last summer. And Miss Nancy Pelosi was in San Francisco calling it the summer of love. We remember that. But a lot of people's lives were made miserable during this time, losing everything in some cases. And the Democrat Party was continuing to shout that we were having peaceful protests. What a bag of crap. We're not having peaceful protests. Well, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with you here in a moment on the Black Conservative Voice with our closing statement.
The NRA announced they're going to dump New York and reincorporate in the great state of Texas.
Let me say to the NRA, welcome to Texas. We are thrilled to have the great National Rifle Association coming to the great state of Texas.
NRA incorporating themselves in Texas will make it the most successful NRA organization we've ever seen.
Let's not forget, Letitia James, the New York Attorney General, campaigned on a promise to destroy the NRA.
We are seeking an order to dissolve the NRA in its entirety.
She called the organization a terrorist organization.
Trust me, I know what a terrorist organization looks like, and the NRA and its 5 million members definitely aren't one of those.
She all but said she would find a way to get rid of the organization and purge them from New York.
The media wants you to abandon hope. The media wants you to give up. The media is trying to tell you that the NRA is dead, that it's bankrupt, that it's hurting. And you know why they want you to believe that? Because that's what the media wants. I'm here to tell you it isn't true. I'm here to tell you that the American people believe in freedom, that we have a fierce, rugged independence, that you will not take our liberties, that we will stand and defend our rights.
I think it's great. The NRA has been around for 150 years. It's not going anywhere. It's going to be as strong as ever. And
to be in a place like Texas will ensure that the rest of America can remain free and keep our basic rights that's been given us by God. And I look forward to that moving forward for sure.
So I encourage everybody out there, stay strong with the NRA, because the NRA is going to continue to stand strong with us.
To the NRA, I'm proud to say, welcome to Texas.
Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Now, I had a brother. He was, I don't know if it was him. I'm trying to think. I don't know if it was Daniel that said this in one of my comments or not, but someone was saying that, you know, a lot of this will be resolved once the change of the guard, like the 2022 election. A lot of this stuff will be changed over, and it might be easily changed over. But the problem is we still got 2 years to deal with this garbage the way it is, people. We still got to deal with all the effects and all the changes that are going to be brought about by these unconstitutional legislations being put forth, hopefully, A lot of these states that require 60 votes in the Senate, like the H.R. 1, will not get passed. If we could keep the Republican Party in unity instead of certain ones defecting to the other side. To tell the truth, I think, and I believe this should be the case, if people in those parties, I don't care which party it is, if they defect to the other side too much or on every vote and whatever, everything else, I think they need to be put out of the party. They need to be cut from the party because they become no longer an asset to the party itself and its viewpoints or its platforms. They become a liability. There's some like that, like Kensington or whatever his name is, in Congress. We need to really remove him from the Republican Party. He needs to go ahead and be a Democrat. If he loves it so much, he persecuted our President Donald J. Trump. He was in office. He was even disowned by his own family because he voted on a sham impeachment put forth by Nancy Pelosi just recently. To me, I can't stand the guy. He needs to get out of the Republican Party because I believe he does not represent us. I believe he is a radical Democrat, not a Republican. So the Republican Party needs to bring up some standards themselves. We may like to have the numbers or whatever. We may not want to give up, give up congressmen and things like that, and people we voted for. But if they're not representing their constituents, then their butts need to be removed. Now, the constituent of his area, I don't know. Maybe they're voting for Democrats. I don't know. Or voting for radical Republicans. Because he sure ain't right. He's leftist. Anyway, enough of that. Let's move on. Well, I want to thank you for joining us here on the Black Conservative Voice. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I pray that you have a wonderful weekend and everything will go well for you this weekend, and that you will be blessed in all that you say and do. Once again, this is David Colbert on the CTM News Network saying good night. And wait a minute. Stop, David. Hold on a second. I do my normal thing here. I'm losing it. Anyway, I want to say with you, as I always like to say, God bless you, God bless America, and God bless the world. Until next time, this is David Colbert on the CTM News Network, the Black Conservative Voice, saying good night and God bless.